Hello, everybody, and thank you all so much for joining us today for this event here. And also, if you've been on this whole Discover event, like Discover Fest event journey, it has been a whole week of wild learning experiences. We've You could go to the link in the description and check out all the events. There's replays available for everything. We've been talking about business, like marketing. I learned a little French. I learned a little German. I was 100% convinced that I needed to become a indie game developer yesterday. It's been a total blast. But today, here, right now, thank you for being here. My name is Jonah from Discover, and we are talking to Stephanie and Melody. How are you doing today?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
thank
a little
you.
nervous, but great.
Oh, it's gonna be a blast. We are so happy to have you. And just to make sure everyone's in the right place, today we're talking about how to earn thousands as a food photographer. And
Mhm.
feel free to hop in that chat. Let us know if you can hear and see us all right. If you're watching the replay, please hop in those comments. Believe it or not, we do come back and look at those. We care a lot about just your thoughts, your emotions, everything about these events. And also, if we're moving fast through the event or anything, please don't worry. There's going to be a replay available. It'll be here on the YouTube. It'll be on the Discover event page. It'll also be emailed to you if you signed up for the event, along with the course offer, which we'll talk about a little later. And also, ask any questions you have throughout the event, but we will have a dedicated Q&A afterwards. So if we're not answering those questions right away, we promise we're not ignoring you. We've set aside the time to answer all of those questions. And like I said, we're talking about how to make thousands as a food photographer. We're going to learn how to build a thriving food photography business from your kitchen. This workshop will cover the growth and income opportunities for food photographers. And best of all, you don't need any previous experience. Little background on these two if you don't know them. Stephanie is a co-creator of Pretty Focused and has been a professional blogger for 10 years, reaching 25 plus million people each month. And Melody is a wife, an educator, photographer, and most important, a stay-at-home mom. But I'm going to let you two introduce yourselves as well. But first off, I just have to say I'm so excited. I worked in the food industry for years and always tried to take pictures of the food I was making. And it is so hard to take good pictures of food.
Yeah.
And so just thrilled for this event. I don't want to take up any more time, so I'm going to hand it over to you two.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. As he said, I'm Melody. I am all of those things. Wife. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm actually homeschooling my boys right now, so think of me often. And I am a food photographer. Oh, I just ripped out my headphones. I'm a food photographer. I work here at home. You can actually kind of see part of my setup behind me. And I've been working with food bloggers since 2016. Stephanie was one of my very first clients, and so I'm so excited to be able to be here presenting with her all of this incredible information.
Yeah, and I feel like Jonah did such a good introduction. My name is Stephanie Keeping, and I have been a professional blogger for almost 11 years now. Which is the dinosaur age in blogging. And my blog is called Spaceships and Laser Beams. And I am co-creator of Pretty Focused. And we've been doing this for quite a while. Yeah. And I wanted to give some background because I think people are always intrigued when they hear our story because no one knows what blogging is, or let alone food photography or any of those things. So we met in 2016, and I would say at the time, I would call myself a overwhelmed blogger. At the time, my site had exploded in popularity, and I was doing everything and that was involved with the blog, and just dropping a lot of balls. And what Melody did is kind of swoop in like an angel and pick up those balls that were related
Okay.
to, yeah.
I'll take it.
Yep, you were to photography, and working together, we were able to grow spaceships and laser beams more than I ever dreamed possible. Now, this slide is surreal. So, in blog land, we are in our high point now. Well, everyone's getting ready for Christmas and American Thanksgiving. And so, our work reaches across social media and the blog more than 100 million people every single month. And to think of where we started, it's just been amazing. But the cool thing is that other bloggers took notice of what we were doing, and they would ask me questions. They would try to hire melody or try to find their own melody, and they just really wanted to get a structure in place like we had. And on the
Mhm.
other side, melody was seeing this too.
Yeah. So I had a friend. This is Kim. You can see her in her picture. She noticed what I was doing. I would, post on social media like you do all the things, that I'm doing. And she was working for a big corporation. She was making phenomenal income and working the long hours to earn the income that she was, of course, how it is in corporate. And then she's had a baby. She had a newborn baby that she was leaving in childcare, driving across town. And she, more than anything, wanted to stay at home. And she just needed to make $400 a month. And so she sat down next to me, or sat down across from me in Target, and is just pouring out her heart. Like, how can I do this too? And I explained to her all, actually, that we're getting ready to tell you now. I explained to her all that I've been doing. I started sending her training videos. And before we knew it, she was making not just $400 a month, but she was exceeding all of her income expectations. And spoiler alert, she's now one of our coaches. She's a portfolio review coach, and she's working alongside us at Spaceships and Laser Beams. So again, not only did she meet her goal, but she exceeded it, and she crushed it. And so today we're going to kind of have that same little virtual cup of coffee. I am prepared with mine. I don't know if you have yours. Hopefully you're not too hungry, as you've noticed, because we're actually going to be showing you a lot of yummy food photos. But we want to come alongside you. We want to have that virtual cup of coffee with you and show you how you can make thousands. You can be just like Kim and make thousands at home as a home-based food photographer. So today, what we're going to go over with you is we're going to show you all the camera and supplies that you'll need for this job, for food blog photography, as we call it, where and how to set up a small studio inside of your home. And Stephanie is going to talk about the types of jobs that are immediately available to you and how we can help you build that lucrative food photography business at home. So let's dive in to the camera and supplies, because as you can imagine, this is actually pretty important whenever you are a food photographer. So let's talk about the gear that you need. So I highly recommend a full frame camera. Those will always be better. However, you can start out with a crop sensor camera. We just say no cell phones. I know they take great photos to post on Instagram, but we're talking about selling professional images. We need professional equipment. My favorite go-to lenses are the Canon 50 and the Canon 100 2.8. I also use an Expo disc, which I have a couple of laying around my desk right here. I'm going to talk to you about this in just a little bit. This thing is a lifesaver. And of course, SD cards, tripods. Lightroom is what we use for editing. So we recommend this editing software. I know that there's a lot out there, but Lightroom allows you to create these really incredible workflows so you're able to work smarter and not harder, which is what we always want, right? So on top of that, you're probably thinking, okay, food photography, obviously gear. Let's talk about styling supplies, right? Because we want to make that food look so pretty. And we always encourage people to start out with the neutrals, plates, and bowls. Brushed silverware, linens, you can kind of see those neutral linens. I love blue. I'm drawn to it, like the blues and the dark grays. I'm so sorry. I know that might seem boring to people, but I love them, and there's a reason for it. Wooden serving spoons, the neutral baking dishes and neutral mixing bowls. And you're probably wondering, that's like, why all the neutrals? Why go neutral for all of this stuff? And we always encourage people to start out here with the neutrals, especially whenever you come into this job and you have 6 or 7 clients. The neutral items just kind of help meet everybody's needs. More than likely, they use the neutral items themselves. So we always encourage you to start out with the neutrals because of the amount of clients that you'll work with too, but also as you start to develop your own skill and your skill and your style, then you can kind of start to add to those those pieces as well. So for example, I am not a huge, like, I know a lot of people love vintage props, but I don't love vintage props. Like, my style and how I see things, I don't enjoy working with them. And so I'm not going to spend all my time collecting all these vintage props if I don't enjoy using them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me know if it doesn't make sense. But so we always encourage people to start out with neutrals. Then the third reason we want people to start out with neutrals in the baking dishes and the bowls is because we want to use dishes that are recognized by all of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 9x13 casserole dish, the mixing bowls. So being able to use dishes that most of America uses allows the readers to better visualize themselves using those. So that's why we encourage people to start out with the neutrals. Okay. And again, if you have any questions as we're going through, go ahead and drop them off. Stephanie and I are going to answer them all at the very end. Yeah. Now let's talk about the home studio setup. So you can kind of see, I've got my table is being used it's holding my camera bag right now. You can kind of see a little bit of my studio setup behind me. And I got to talk about this photo real quick though, because this is Kim. And this is little Nixon, and this is her son, her newborn. He was a newborn at the time, that she worked so hard to stay home for. And here she is working with him right by her side in her bathroom. So that's right. She's in her master bathroom. And let's talk about what she's using and why she's setting it up in there in the bathroom. You were like, that's so gross. There's a reason for it. And I think that shows you that you can do that. You really can do this anywhere. So she's using, of course, a portable table. You're going to want styling boards and reflectors, step stools, light stands, and a natural light source. So in Pretty Focus, we teach you how to use a natural light source. So everybody really has a natural light source. So for the most part, everybody should have access to the sun, that I hope. But one of the questions that you might have right now is the gear I have now good enough? Because it's kind of easy to go through and make lists and, of all the things that you need to buy. But what about the things that you already have now on hand? Is that good enough? And I have to preface to say that a full frame camera will always be better. Okay. They handle low light better. They take the clarity is better. The colors are better. But that doesn't mean using a budget camera right now won't be good enough to get you started. Okay. Again, we're not talking about phones. We're talking about that. No, but like crop sensor cameras, those are something that our students actually start with. And I started out with one. And what is the most crucial thing here with the gear that you already have is learning how to use the gear you have. Like, being a good steward of the gear you have now will help set you up for success later, so you can start to invest in new gear. So I want to show you some pictures. There's two. One was taken with an $800 setup. The photo on the left was taken with a Canon 60D on a kit lens, an 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. Okay. The photo on the right was taken with my Canon 5D Mark III and a 51.2. So you can see there is a couple $1,000 difference between those two photos. But this is proof that if you look really closely, you can see the difference. Okay. But you can take beautiful photos. I would say that these are both beautiful photos. They're both well lit. I love the colors in them. You can hardly tell the difference. And so I'm going to give you two tips that you can use to create pin-worthy photos like you just saw with the gear that you already have. And so number one, as we saw, we're going to go back to Kim's bathroom. Light is foundational. And the reason why she's photographing in her bathroom is because she's got a really big south-facing window inside of her bathroom. So Stephanie, let's go on to the next slide. This is how she's setting up. So, and this is how I have mine set up right here in my office. So setting your board up parallel to a south-facing window. South-facing really kind of gives you the best, the longest amount of best light. Does that make sense? The best, longest amount of light through the day. This right here is set up against a really big west-facing window. So the best time of the day for me to photograph, because I'm using natural light, is in the afternoon. And so I love that I can do what I need to do in the morning, typically math and reading. And then in the afternoon, I have the ability to come in here and photograph. So it's set up parallel. Then we're using our reflectors opposite of the window and then at the back of the board. And what this is doing is creating a light trap. And it's keeping all of the light bounced in and concentrated on the board. Instead of escaping to the rest of the room and losing it, we keep the best light right there to flood our camera, because our cameras love light. And then if I have direct light coming in through my window, which I do in the afternoon, no worries, I will put a diffuser in between the light source, so the sun coming in, and then my board, and that helps to diffuse that direct light, and I'm still getting a nice soft light on my board. And in fact, that's some of my favorite light to photograph in. So let me show you. You saw Kim's bathroom, but take a look at some of our other students' setups. And I first of all just love how approachable all of these are. Our favorite will always and forever be the dog kennel, because I think it just shows that people are willing to do whatever it takes to have a career and a life they love at home. And what's even more exciting is that this is where they started. A lot of these people have upgraded to full studio spaces. One of our students, I don't know, did you see Eva's post earlier today,
No.
Stephanie, that she's got the concrete poured for her studio at her house? So she's building a studio. She's
Wow.
gone from this to laying concrete to build her own studio in her yard. It's amazing. You don't have to do that though.
No.
You don't have to do that.
The dog kennel and get paid
Yeah,
the same.
you can have it. You're good. You're good. So I just think it's really exciting that this is where it starts, and it just shows you the potential of what such humble beginnings can lead you to. So that's number one, is that light is foundational. And in fact, those two photos that and on slide 17, can you just go back to those real quick, Stephanie? The two photos here on the cookie photos, slide 17.
They just disappeared. Just a second.
Sorry, guys. I just want to go back and reference this one.
There we go.
I'm going off script. I'm sorry. But I just want to point out that the reason why I was able to get the photos to look this way with the two different types of gear is because of the light. Like, that is the common denominator here, is the light. And so lighting is so incredibly important and foundational to photography. Okay, now we can go on to tip number 2, which is to use an expo disc. And I don't know if you can see there's two sides that you probably can't see the honeycomb side right here. But this guy is so he's my lifesaver. I panic whenever I can't find it. So I have a couple of different ones. My husband would say, "Why don't you put it back in the same place?" So I don't know. What a genius thought. I know. Anyway, so you can see the difference between these two photos right here. Is the with an expo disc and then without an expo disc. Now, our cameras are really smart and they're getting smarter and they're getting better, but not all of them know what white looks like in every lighting scenario. And so white balance is the balance of colors. And so sometimes we have to help it along to be able to tell it what white is supposed to look like. So as you can see there, the ice cream cones actually look true to life. In the with an expo disc, they are golden. Without on auto white balance, they are gray and they are dull. So there was no other editing done to these photos. These are straight off of camera, and using an expo disc helps to create that consistency with images. And actually, and as you can see, this is a big reason why the food looks yummy, is because the colors of the food are done correctly in camera. So now I shared a little bit about all the gear that you need and how to use the gear that you have now. Stephanie is going to share my favorite part of this whole thing and tell you about the opportunities available to you.
Well, I mean, I really hope right now that everyone thinks that this sounds amazing, and maybe they're asking the question, but how do you turn it into a business? And what we wanted to do was spend a little time diving into that part. I think because when most people contact us and they're inquiring about what we offer, they need help with their families right now. Because, they're like, if you'll see on the screen, like Kelly, she was a single mom. Her biggest goal is to move herself and her kids into a house where everyone could have their own bedroom. Or Brooke, who suddenly found herself as a sole breadwinner when her husband lost his job. Or David, who lost of his portion of his income over the last couple of years, but made it all back, I think, and more as a content creator. And the reason they're able to do this is because working as a food photographer it is a way to get paid immediately when you work. So through Pretty Focused, we're seeing things like this happen every day in our Pretty Focused Buyers Club, which we'll talk about later. So this student made $800 selling meatballs, and they sold just 3 minutes after she posted. And what we wanted to do was break that down, what it means financially for most of our grads. So we did a survey of grads, and we asked them several questions, and a lot of those questions were around their income. And we received some really great data. The first we found is that our grads had a 60-40 split, where 60% said they were working full-time and about 40% said they were working part-time. Now, of those grads that were working full-time, so what they disclosed as full-time hours for them, it was 57% said they were making more than $50,000 a year, and more than 13% of those grads reported making more than $100,000 a year. Now, on the part-time side, because this is definitely full-time pay for full-time work and part-time pay for part-time work. On the part-time side, what we saw is that there were almost 60%. So 59% of grads were making $10,000 in additional income, and over 35% were making more than $25,000 in additional income for their part-time career. And what we think this means, I think, is pretty clear. So it's depending on how much you want to work, and I think also your skill level. It will impact how much money you're going to earn, but this is a really good synopsis of the marketplace. Now, I know the big question is, so how are they doing it? And typically, our students build businesses one of two ways. First, they're working with bloggers or websites to take better photos of existing content.
Mhm.
The second way is that they're creating new recipes or new crafts that are then sold to blogs and websites. And over the next few slides, I wanted to show you how that looks practically. But first, I think it's important that we talk about why a blogger would hire a photographer, because this whole land of bloggers, people don't even understand that bloggers make money, so they can't even understand why a blogger would then hire
Mhm.
someone and how that person could make money. So here's a perfect example from my own site. So the post on the left is so old that it predates Pinterest, and it was good for the time, but it just doesn't compete now. It's a great recipe, but it's not getting seen by people. And because we're constantly putting up new content,
Mhm.
there's not enough time to go back and photograph old content too. So rather than having it sit on my site and not being seen, and therefore not making any money, we hired it out to make it more appealing. And did it work? Absolutely, it worked. You can see
Mhm.
here, this one, it's just a Facebook share of this post was seen by more than 18 million people, and it sent a ton of traffic to our blog. And as a blogger, people visiting the site means we make money. And so therefore, these kinds of examples are no-brainers of why bloggers would hire food photographers.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, as we talk a little more about opportunities, what I think is really cool is that some of our photographers have taken the skills they've learned in Pretty Focus, and they've like expanded them into other areas we don't even teach about, such as shooting cookbooks, taking photos of menus, doing product shots, working for print magazines. And it's amazing to see the kind of opportunities they're getting. And I just think of another great example how you can find a way to make food photography from home work for you.
Mhm.
And what I wanted to do next was show two ways that grads have structured their food photography businesses to do just that, and that's to make it work for them. So the first way is someone like a Redonda. I actually saw, I think Redonda's in the comments. So if people have questions for her.
Yeah.
So Redonda was a medical transcriptionist and a hobby photographer, and now she is a full-time food photographer. And she's a great example of someone who falls into that first bucket we talked about. And so that's someone who doesn't create their own recipes.
Mhm.
She's provided them by her clients, and her end of the job is to photograph them in a way that would be inspiring to readers. Now, Redonda works with a couple of bloggers, a meal planning service, and a magazine. And here's what that looks like. So, in terms of her blogger work, she's usually given a recipe that's on someone's site, and she's asked to rephotograph it and bring it back to life, essentially, as she did here.
Mhm.
In the case of magazines and meal plans or other clients, usually they're providing her with a never before seen recipe from a recipe developer, and then she brings those to life for the first time. Now, the other example that I wanted to give is Ivy. Ivy creates her own recipes, photographs them, and sells them. But she's actually taken it to the next level, and she's got a small team that helps her with things like photo
Mhm.
editing, the washing dishes, recipe development, and it's allowed her to do to sell more content with the same amount of time. And how Ivy does it is that she produces content every week. And then once a week, she sends an email to her email list, and the email goes to a shop. This is like a page from her shop that you see here. And she's seen a lot of success and growth using this model. She's built a reputation so people know the quality they're getting, and they're ready to buy from her as soon as she sends an email each week. And really, there's no one size fits all approach. You can just look at your interest and your goals and the time you have, and and then go from there. Another really cool thing we're seeing happen in our community is what we call, kind of in the industry, semi-exclusives. And what this has done is allowed the people who are creating recipes and are so inclined to take this route a way to make more money with just one recipe. And so what they are doing is taking, so they're creating one unique recipe. They take one ingredient shot and one process shot, and then they're taking multiple hero setups. So when we talk about heroes are like that final shot of a dish that you might see on Pinterest or Facebook or Instagram, where it's like beautifully styled and fully cooked. And so they will take multiple sets of those heroes and then sell them for a slightly reduced price to bloggers, different bloggers. And this is how that works in terms of pricing. So this is a cupcake semi-exclusive. And what she did is she had one cupcake recipe, but she sold it in 4 sets of heroes. So each set sold for $400. So for this one recipe, she was able to make $1,600. And that's been really cool to see in our community, and just like another way that people are pushing the limits and finding new and exciting ways to make money from home as a food photographer.
Stephanie,
Yes.
$1,600.
I know, for cupcakes.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It's insane.
Yes.
I love it.
Me too.
Sorry, keep going. I just have to like,
yeah.
oh my
I
God.
will actually have I think an even better example in here. So stay tuned. So I hope I really hope what people might be saying right now is these questions, like, it sounds great, but I don't have any experience. I don't want to bug my friends and family to buy something. And will I actually be able to make this work? And the answer is yes, absolutely. We've been doing this for quite a while, so we are pretty confident in that the answer is yes. And that's because of the course that we have here on Teachable called Pretty Focus. And it's a system, it's a done for you system, essentially, that has worked time and time again. It has 3 components: an education component, a coaching component, and then once you graduate, we put you in a group that's a buyer's club that's exclusive to our grads, where you get clients. So you didn't even have to market or build your business. The clients are there waiting for you.
Yeah.
And I just love how many lives, like, we started off creating a course. What we realized is this is so much more than that. Like, what we've been able to do is provide a way that people can legitimately, like, actually legitimately work from home, doing something that they love, and really transform their lives. And it was a life like this one that I'm going to show you now. So this is Kendra, and perhaps her story might even sound familiar to people over the last couple years. She was 6 months behind on her bills. She says she felt like she was hitting rock bottom, and she ended up taking Pretty Focus and starting her own business, and she was able to climb out of debt. And I think one of the most amazing and inspiring things was that at the end of that year, by Christmas time, Kendra was even able to donate to other families during the holidays and kind of pay her fortunes and success forward. And I just love that about her and the ripple effect that her life change had. So I thought we should get kind of into the meat and potatoes of, the education, the coaching, and the client part of Pretty Focus. So do you want to do the education, Melody?
Yes, let's talk
Okay.
about it. So, this is definitely not a like enroll and then overnight ta-da! Like,
Yeah.
you're a professional food photographer. Congratulations. No hard work. And everything's so I want to make sure that everybody knows we have a system. It's done for you, but the system in place, and it begins with the education. And so there are 6 modules that we have for people to go through. That doesn't introduce you, but I guess it does. It teaches you how to use your camera. There we go. Teaches you how to use your camera. Module 2 goes into composition and styling. We teach tutorial-based food photography, because if you think about, blogs and recipes, bloggers are teaching people how to create that recipe. And so that's where this kind of this niche of photography maybe differs from other areas, other food photography niches, is that we're teaching people step by step how to do something. And so we teach tutorial-based food photography. So module 3, we go into then photographing recipes, the process, and as Stephanie mentioned, the heroes. We show you how to use Lightroom, how to work for clients in module 5, and we go into depth about the recipe recreations. We talk about exclusive recipes. We even talk about crafts, because there is a need for crafts as well. And there's even a need for, yes, specialty diets as far as like vegan and gluten-free. I know a lot of people say, well, can I do this if I have these specific diet concerns in my own house? And the answer is yes, because there's bloggers who have that audience, that audience as well. And so then module 6 is we teach you all about how to set up your business, the invoicing, photo delivery systems, contracts, and I'm missing one.
Sales post.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We teach you how to create those sales posts inside of our buyers club, and how to present yourself to all the clients. And so let's talk about now, after that's like the education side, right? So after the first 4 modules, we have homework for you to go through and do and post in the group. And so as you've gone through this content and you start practicing your recipes, and because we want you to get as much experience under your belt as possible before you're sent out into the world wide web of bloggers. So we have our Facebook coaching group, which is a place for you to be able to post all of your work and get incredible feedback from our coaches. So Stephanie, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I think, I hate even calling it a Facebook group, because it's so much more than that, right?
Yeah, it's housed on Facebook.
But it's just not your typical group. So, because basically every course comes with a Facebook group. This is a true coaching community. It's supportive. It's an encouraging environment where you can get daily tips from coaches, participate in Q&As, and get feedback from the coaches directly. So I think that is the key difference, is we have pretty focused coaches who work every day. We have a system so that when you post your photos for feedback, you're getting seen. And within this group environment, you're getting one-on-one coaching. And I just think that it has helped our grads grow and succeed by leaps and bounds. And certainly what we found is that it's one of our students and graduates' most beloved parts of Pretty Focus. In fact, when people graduate, they tend to stay in the group and just give back to the community, and then also tap into it. Like if they're, they could have graduated and been working a year and are having an issue with a client, and they'll reach out to the community and see if others have had the same issue, or it's just a really positive and uplifting place. And if it's not clear from what you're seeing on the screen, our students just love it.
Yeah.
The other part of coaching that we implemented was a portfolio review. So we've done everything intentionally with Pretty Focus as we've grown, because our worst personal nightmare is for someone to graduate and not get work. So every time we think there's a way that we can strengthen, our students' work and then have them succeed as soon as they graduate, we put that in place. And one of the things was a portfolio review, and it's one of the biggest bonuses that we have. It sets our grads up for success in every possible way.
Mhm.
It's extensive, but it's uplifting and positive, and it'll ensure that when you step out with your business, you can confidently step out and know you have a solid portfolio with the
Mhm.
types of photos that clients will be working for. We have a portfolio guide that outlines all the prerequisites. And I think it's so cool to see how much our grads value this process. One of our grads, Melody, and the insert dad joke is not the same relation. Melody with a Y, not the same, not related. But she said the portfolio process was actually her selling point for Pretty Focus, because she spent thousands of dollars on courses. And the one thing that was always missing was feedback from the instructors, and how valuable it was. And you're not just getting that with a portfolio, you're getting that the whole way through with our coaching system.
Yeah.
And what it does is it all of this put into place helps when a grad graduates. Now, we never solicited this comment. We got it. And I think it just makes us so proud. So this particular grad said, it's crazy when you graduate, even if you don't have all the services checked like that she offers, people will reach out to you, because the PF, so Pretty Focus Grad Diploma, gets you work if you want it. And that's because of all these things that we've put into place. And I think it makes both of us super proud that that is what's happening in the community. So we have a few more bonuses, and then we're going to get to the major bonus that comes with being a Pretty Focus student.
Yeah, so we kind of call it our time-saving bundle. We have a Pretty Focus preset. So somebody asked in the question in the comments, does it matter if you fixed it a bit with Photoshop? And so our goal is to get the photo right in camera, but we will always do a little bit of editing to it, because how we're shooting in RAW, a raw photo is a pretty flat photo. And so in Lightroom, we're bringing back some definition into the photo. So we want to be able to see, the detail and the depths and the shadows of the food, because that helps to bring some dimension to the photo. And so we will do editing. Absolutely. And then we do, we also provide so we provide a preset to help speed that process along. We also provide full session walkthroughs. So you get to see me in my space, photographing, making mistakes, how I fix them. I even have a session where I photograph with a crop sensor and an 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. So you can see see how I navigate that. And then number 3, we have, if you're like, I don't know what recipes to make, what are people making? We have a list of 100 of the most highly searched recipes for you to go through. Now, I have to preface to say we do not have the full recipe, but we have like the recipe. I call it like the recipe concept. So like chili, and then you would create your own chili recipe, or go out and find a chili recipe to create, to practice. But to sell, you would create your own chili recipe to sell. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, I hope I didn't just confuse people. So tell me if I did. This is how the list works. We have that in there. So we give you the recipe concept. You would create your own chili recipe, or you would sell your chili recipe, and then you would sell your chili recipe for big dollars. Or as you saw earlier, you create a cupcake recipe, sell your cupcake recipe for $1,600.
Yeah. It's nuts.
It kills me. It kills me.
So
we also have an expense tracker and a sales post template that we have to show you how how to present yourself to clients. And Stephanie is going to tell you about the icing, the sprinkles on the cake.
The
I
sprinkles
guess
on the cake. I love it.
so
So
not even
this is
frostings.
no.
Better than frostings.
So this is definitely the best for last scenario, because this bonus is basically priceless. Like, I don't even know how we would say what the value is. And that's entry into our buyers club. And this is what makes Pretty Focused. I think I'm going off script here, Melody, but I
Oh
think
no.
I know. I think it makes Pretty Focused so different than basically like opportunities, right? Like we all hear about all these online opportunities. This is what makes it different, is truly the buyers club. And so the buyers club is a group that only Pretty Focused graduates are able to be admitted into. So it can't be random food photographers. You have to have graduated Pretty Focused. And in that group is more than, I mean, I think there's over 1,000 people in it, but about 900 bloggers who all have expressed interest or are actively buying content or hiring photographers. And it allows our grads to answer job requests from bloggers or showcase and sell their work. And here's just one of the many amazing examples that are in there. So this grad sold her recipe in for meatballs in 3 minutes, and she made $800. So she sold it as a package, same meatball recipe, just styled a few different ways for $800. And 3 minutes, it was gone. And you might be asking, like, why? What makes it different? Perhaps you've even heard that bloggers are cheap. Like, that's like, like we hear that. And the reason is there's a couple of reasons.
Stephanie, we have a comment right now, and right now you can speak to this. I don't understand how you can sell a recipe for hundreds of dollars.
Yes. So what we're talking about is, so there are thousands and thousands of people who have food blogs. What we're talking about is the smaller subset of food bloggers who are in the professional realm, who are getting millions upon millions of visitors a year and have made this a career. And so a photographer can sell a recipe for hundreds of dollars because that blogger can then put it on their blog and make money from it. I don't know how else to say that, but we can go into it more if people have questions. So
yeah,
there's two things behind it. One is the people in the buyers club are the people that I would say are like my colleagues, right? Like, we've been doing it a long time. This is professional. This is a business for us, right? So it's like any other thing. When time is limited, you need help. And one of the ways you can get help is to relieve some of the burden of creating recipes for a recipe site. The second reason why Pretty Focused graduates are able to make so much is that they have our brand behind us. So like Melody and I are not just like, we didn't just randomly create a course. Like, Spaceships has grown a lot. We're able to demonstrate success and the success of using Pretty Focused graduates on our site. Colleagues of mine have the same. People know that when they get a Pretty Focused grad, it's someone who's been trained to photograph the way a food blogger likes it. And that is why there's no training involved. A lot of times it's like, meet, take photos, gone. And that it's that whole time is money thing, right? And so that brand is worth something. And so that's why bloggers are in there, and they're willing to pay more for a Pretty Focused student or a Pretty Focused graduate. So that is the key. I can circle back a little more specifically if there's more questions, because it's such a big field and nuance. So we'll come back to that. I love this because this story happens every week, and it happens week after week to the same people. So this was a note to Melody. We'll pretend it's to both of us. And so this person, she sold 6 recipes before 7 a.m. And in case you're wondering, that's $1,900. And guess what? She's going to do it again next week and the week after and the week after that. And I think it's so incredibly motivating to hear stories like this. Or we even have one from Melody. She said not even 24 hours after posting, she was hired by 2 bloggers to photograph 10 recipes, and that covered the cost of her course of Pretty Focus plus extra. Or the other example we have is Megan, who was hired 5 minutes after graduating and being listed in the Buyers Club, and she was completely filled with clients within her first week. And I promise these are not isolated incidences. We actually, so if you remember, 45 minutes ago when we were talking about the income slides, we actually asked people how long, once they were admitted into the Buyers Club, it took to connect with clients. And it was essentially one day, couple of hours, one day to 1 week, across the board. And so I think we feel very confident in saying that this has become the experience of our grads. And another thing we're, I think, super proud of is that you're not just in the Buyers Club. So we also have a Hire a Grad section on our website. And in here, all our graduates are listed. So we're seeing like transactions, and there are things that are happening that aren't even happening in the Buyers Club that are happening because of Pretty Focus. And that's pretty cool too. Okay. Oh, here. So I did have, sorry, I skipped ahead. This is what happens when you go off script. So I actually have a stat to back up what I was saying. And that's 95% of our grads said that it took 1 week or less for them to connect with clients. And 63% said it took only hours to connect with clients in the Buyers Club. And I have now, this is my new favorite story. This is one of our grads, and Kim is our, if you see, it's written to Kim, who is the coach that we talked about earlier, who does portfolios. And this grad was genius. Like, I'd never seen this before, and it's just another case of people being so smart. But what she did is she created all brand new recipes for her portfolio so that when she graduated, she could sell her practice work to clients. So she graduated, she immediately sold, like put up in the Buyers Club for sale, the recipes that were in her portfolio, and she made $1,335. She also sold a separate bundle for $865. So 45 minutes after graduating from Pretty Focus, she covered her entire investment in the course. And I'm like, that is a mic drop genius moment that we had never thought of, right? Like, I wish I was so smart to have told people to do this, to pay for the course. And I just think there's so many cool stories. And so I think what we wanted to do next is we'll just quickly summarize, kind of the pricing and what's involved, but we wanted to give a bit of a Black Friday bonus. So a lot of people we hear from are good on the photography side. Like, they think they can learn photography or get through it. What they are is really nervous on the recipe development or recipe testing side. And so what we wanted to do for Black Friday is give away our recipe testing and development masterclass for free. And so I'm going to say, here's why we picked this bonus and why we feel it's so important. And it's something that I think would really help so many people. And the first thing is, it's going to give you peace of mind. It's going to, if you're nervous about cooking or recipe testing or recipe development, it's going to knock away all those fears because you're going to be guided through the entire process. The other thing it's going to allow you to do is create the type
Mhm.
of recipes that will sell for top dollar in the Buyers Club. You're going to see a range of recipes in the Buyers Club, and the type of work that's taught in this masterclass is taught to try to get people top dollar for the work. The next thing it's going to do is provide you with another service that you can potentially offer your clients should you choose. So we have some photographers who will offer recipe testing. They'll just sell recipes, no photography. Or they'll sell recipes to other photographers if they're particularly good at recipe development. So it just gives you another way to make money. And best of all, this masterclass cost currently in its current version $247. You're going to get it absolutely for free. And I think it's really going to round out your education and your confidence going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're ready to start, the thing that you have to decide then is to choose which tier is right for you. So we've structured Pretty Focus into 3 tiers. So one that suits your needs, budget, and time commitment. So I'm going to go over those with you real quick. So tier 1 is photography only. It comes with the first 4 modules, and you can see that it also comes with the preset. But I want to point out that it does not come with the Buyers Club or the portfolio review. In order to get into the Buyers Club, you have to go through and pass the portfolio review. Okay. So this tier is for people, maybe you are a blogger and you just want to learn how to take better photos for your blog. And you don't necessarily need or want all of the feedback. Or you already have somebody working on your team, and or you have a friend we've also seen this, like bloggers. My sister-in-law is going to start photographing for me, so I want her to enroll in tier 1 so she can get the photography aspect. Tier 2 is photography and business. And you can see the bonuses there for the 4 session walkthroughs, the sales posts, expense tracker, the preset, and the 100 highly searched recipes. So this one, again, does not come with the Buyers Club or the portfolio review. And this tier is for you if you are already working with bloggers. So we have people who come in and they're already working with bloggers. They've already been in this world for a while, and they want to learn how to do it better so they can increase their pricing. So that is who this tier is for. Tier 3 are for those of you who are ready and serious about establishing and setting up your very own business working for bloggers. You want the feedback, you want the portfolio review, and you want the title of Pretty Focused grad behind your name. You want the letters behind your name, I guess. And we have students coming in doing that. They're like, I want to be a Pretty Focused grad because I want to be able to charge more. So tier 3 is for you if you want the whole kit and caboodle. And so we do have a 30-day money back guarantee that I wanted to just bring up. So if you enroll and you're not satisfied, you get 30 days to get your money back. But I want to talk about this lemon curd, this lemon recipe, because you look at that and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I see the prices on that. Like, that's a hefty investment. And I just have to say, when I look at this lemon dessert bundle for $9.95 or the cupcake for $1,600, and I think about the amount of money that I spent at Northern Arizona University to become an elementary education major, to become a teacher, and the debt that I had, knowing that I was going to make $30,000 a year whenever I came out, and that it was going to take me 10 plus years to pay it off. I think it's pretty spectacular that we have grads coming out and 45 minutes are paying off their investment. Can you imagine? Graduating from college and like the first day on the job, you've already paid it off? Like, how often does that happen? And so that's why these excite me so much. And I just wish that I would have had something like that whenever I was graduating, when I graduated from college, to be able to pay it off right away.
Oh, okay. So before we do the Q&A, I wanted to finish with reading this note that Melody received. And this is from Deanna. And she used to work in the insurance industry. And now she is a full-time food photographer. And she started her own blog. And what she said, I think in the third paragraph, just really kind of sings to my heart. And that's, she said, 6 weeks ago, I did not know that all of this existed. Working for bloggers and creating content in what I love. 6 weeks ago, I had no idea that I would be earning income doing what I love. Thank you so much. And I hope that inspires you to believe that there is a way to create a career and life you love and working from home, doing something creative. So,
and I have to say, Deanna is also one of those people who's taken this to a whole other level, because she's created her own food blog. And she's like, she's just,
and it does well. Like
she was able to grow it so quickly because of everything she learned at Pretty Focused.
Yes.
Like she had like a one up, I feel like.
100%.
A leg up. So I just think it's so cool to see people taking this and then they're just exploding with it and taking it and running it with it and shaping their own business and creating the life that they want. It's amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing. So
I saw a great question in here about, and I think it's for you, Melody. Were we allowed to go ahead?
Oh yeah. I was just popping in, but you were already rolling. Love it. Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to say to everyone, pop your questions in there, and just the links for those course are in the description and the comments. And they'll only be on those discounts for just like a week, so make sure to take advantage of that. And as people are popping in questions, I know there's quite a few there, but I just wanted to comment how cool this is to me, because it always seems like from the outside, like you're either like the layman or you're the content creator. And this is kind of like, although you can have the blog as well, though, you don't have to be scared about like, oh, now I'm the front face of all of this, but you're still involved in the industry, right? So I just wanted to recognize how cool that is, because I think a lot of people think they can't be a content creator without being in front.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we actually have a bunch of former bloggers who, because blogging in 2013 and blogging in 2021 are not the same job, right? And so the reason why they started blogging is because they loved creating content, photographing and cooking. And then basically in 2021, that's just a small portion of your job with social media. And so they've moved over and become Pretty Focused graduates so they could do exactly what they love and why they started blogging in the first place.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And
I think go ahead.
That's how I don't want to say that's how I started out, but in my I'm a stay-at-home mom. How am I going to fill my time? I know, I'll start a blog. And I love that. And I love the creating and I love the photography part, but I was not a blogger in the least bit. And so the fact that you can have a job that is like your greatest area of contribution. That's my greatest area of contribution, is the creating the recipes and the photographing. So Stephanie, her greatest area of contribution is the marketing and the getting people there. And so when you marry those two together, like the blogging is a business. When you have a business, you bring other people on to help you on your mission, right? Your mission to reach more people. And so sometimes you got to do that. So anyway.
Love it. Well, and so Stephanie, I have a few questions I wanted to ask, but you were mentioning a question you wanted to.
Oh, well, this is a question I thought was for Melody. When I thought I was like, like, oh, we'll just take over.
No.
Okay, there was a question back there was from Despina. I hope I'm saying her name. Okay. And it was
I was really
oh,
hoping you were going to let me answer this.
yeah. So it's
this
now
one.
you can read it.
No.
Do you want me to
yes,
read it?
I touched on that. Okay, yeah, no, there was another one I wanted to answer too.
Oh,
okay. Oh, it's Janice's question. But
Okay.
yeah, so I did touch on this a little bit when we talked about the preset. So we're not spending hours in Photoshop making all these tweaks to photos. So there are absolutely people that do that. But I am, people, I'd say I've done 4 recipes this week. Other people, they'll do 6 recipes. And so the goal is to always work smarter, not harder, right? And so we do edit. There are times that we have to retouch photos that, there was, I hate to say it, a dog hair in the photo. You wouldn't believe the amount of, as people are photographing, a fly lands on the food. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's so gross, but you have to take those things out. Or if you need to fix the drip, or you need to fix the clarity on the photo. So yeah, there are things that are fixed absolutely in Photoshop. But we try to get everything correctly done in post that week, or in the camera that we can. So there is some editing involved.
Yeah,
it's just not we're not spending hours editing, 20 minutes.
Right.
Or in fast food or restaurant photography, when they're talking about putting drops of dew on lettuce. Yeah. This is food blog photography. It's basically your kitchen, but better, right? So people want it approachable. They want it real life, because as they're following the tutorial, if you've completely saturated the color of the batter and theirs doesn't look the same,
right,
that just is going to derail them. So it's it's real life, but better.
Yeah. And that actually, I think, is a really great segue into Janice's question as to there are so many photos available free on Unsplash, and all these other websites. So why pay somebody to do photos for you? And for the very fact that people are looking for real, they want photos of the lasagna that they're making. And if you have readers come in and they see photos of a recipe and then they make it and it looks nothing like that, you have lost the loyalty and the trust of your readers.
Yeah.
So it needs to be,
it has to be real. Not to mention the person who comes in and buys up the copyright to those photos on Unsplash. Stephanie, you've had that happen. I mean, you haven't had that happen,
no,
but we've heard of that happening.
Yes.
In the blog world,
where someone has bought a stock photo and then a new owner comes in and tries to sue them for using that stock photo. Or right. So bloggers will want their own photo. So we're talking
it also makes it unique, right? They know they're getting it for their blog.
Yeah.
It's not going to be on 9 other food blogs out
there.
Yeah.
We're talking the type of people who are able to pay top dollar for a recipe are professional. It's a whole different ball game. It's not someone just trying to put together a website for $300. So it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, and maybe you said this, but it's interesting to wrap your head around the nuance. I was having I appreciated when you answered Greg's question about, wait, I don't understand. This is, you don't hear about this every day, but so where do you get the initial recipes?
Right.
Can you pull them from anywhere? Are recipes copywritten? There's so many things I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Those are great questions.
Yeah. So, a recipe, I don't think you can technically copyright ingredients, a list of ingredients. The instructions are copywritten.
The process.
Yeah. And then the photos, of course, are right.
Right.
So, but what we so either are, with the masterclass that people are getting for free, they're going to learn how to create recipes, right? Easy recipes that can sell. A lot of times bloggers will be like, there are food bloggers who are chefs, right? So, or cookbook authors. They're going to create their own recipe and then give it to you as a photographer to execute.
Nice.
And
And you
so
just
I
need to
talk
make
about
it.
exactly. You just
Yeah.
need to
Okay.
make it and photograph it. Myself, I have a site that does a lot of content. So I actually have recipe developers on staff as well.
Mm,
They do the recipe. When we're happy with it, then it goes to a photographer. So
got you.
there's different ways, and
Okay.
there's no one way to blog, right? So you just, and I think the beauty of it is that we have photographers who kind of make their own path based on what they love. So one of our coaches, Lenore, she is not a huge fan of making desserts. So she will um, just do savory dishes. Like, like
Right.
it's your business. You can make it whatever you want, right?
That's cool. But
Yeah.
okay, so there's many avenues. So you do
Yeah.
need to be able to cook a little bit. You need to get comfortable with
Yes.
that. But like,
Yes.
you're not gonna have to like start from scratch when you're coming up with a recipe or
No, like I would always say, you don't need to be a professional chef. You
right,
do need to like to cook,
right,
right? They're
right,
just
right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and eat presumably because when you're done with taking
Yeah.
pictures of it, right?
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
Just
Or
buy this.
yeah.
Just go ahead and buy the stretchy pants now. Like,
I'm
Or
into
some
that part.
people give it away to neighbors, right? Like
yeah.
it just
Right,
get
right.
really creative with it. Yeah.
Okay, so this was an interesting question, and we kind of answered aspects
Yeah.
of this because at first, I forget if it was a Vice documentary or something, but I saw a documentary about like, take a picture of a burger and there's motor oil all over it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
that's not what you're doing. But as
No.
far as the craft direction, can you expand a little bit?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have craft bloggers inside of the Buyers Club too, and we have students who will either recreate crafts. I've done that for a blogger where they had crafts on their blog and the photos needed updating because again they're so old. They need to have a fresh, modern look. They need to tell the story better. And so I've gone in and I've rephotographed that craft. I love it when I get to use my boys. They don't love it so much, but I love it. No. But I mean, it's really cool to be able to use my boys in photos. But I'll re-photograph those. We have a coach, Sarah, who is phenomenal with crafts, and so she'll work with bloggers and she'll actually create crafts. She created the cutest ugly sweater for Christmas, and she used a Cricut to be able to do it. She'll use her Cricut to do crafts for other bloggers. She designs printables. So she is a killer graphic designer. So she uses that skill and talent to be able to create printables. She'll photograph them, so she's providing the downloadable printable and the photos to go along with it. So definitely works similar. The photography principles are very, very similar. It's tutorial based. We think of crafts and we think of the tutorial based. So, I mean, the food is kind of it's all the same. It's like we're teaching somebody how to do a craft now instead of how to, make spaghetti.
Good. So it's not like required, but if you're
No.
already doing the same process, it's like a
Yeah.
whole nother angle you can take and have in your
Yeah.
back pocket for.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if
Then-
you love it, like Sarah, she loves crafting and she loves using her Cricut. Like, there are other people who are like, don't put me near a pair of scissors. Like,
Right.
I don't want, it's just another way that you can really do what you love. You get to find your greatest area of contribution. I keep going back to that and turn it into a business.
Right. I love it. Two more questions I want to get to, and then we do have to wrap up for time. But Mimi is asking, the course sounds amazing. What is the minimum cost of equipment? I know you said you like showed a low and a high scale, but like if you're like baseline, just gonna get started, implying that you're gonna be able to sell stuff and upgrade in the future. But like, can you put a dollar amount on like all you have? Like she says, they say all they have is an iPhone. What do you do?
Yeah, you're going to have a DSLR camera. I think that's going to be the big investment, right? So that's a camera where you can remove the lens.
Yeah,
Mhm.
basically.
that's
your
the
tell.
easiest way we describe it. Like
Yeah.
camera,
And
remove
yeah,
lens.
yeah. And
Because you
so
need to
we've
be able
had
to upgrade the lens, right? And have a decent lens. Is that,
Yeah.
yeah.
over,
Yeah,
and
that
what we've
helps.
had is people start with what they have. So we've had people borrow cameras or,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
start with what they have. And then as they make money, then upgrade, right?
Right,
Like
Hmm.
you don't need to buy a $3,000 camera, like at
right.
all, but you do have to have that DSLR.
Love
So
it.
Yeah.
it just depends on, I mean, it just depends on where you go to get it and how you
Yeah,
get it. Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
realistically, you're going to look to spend between, camera, getting styling boards and a table, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 in gear. If you don't
Mhm.
have a camera
Yeah.
with a
The
kit
cameras.
lens,
Yeah.
like you can start off with a kit lens. We do recommend, a 50 is a really great lens to have. Um, and so then later, as you start making money, I think, um, as you start making money, then you can start, reinvesting back into your business. And I
Mhm.
noticed a huge difference in my photos and the quality of my photos whenever I switched from a crop sensor to a full frame. So not only could I see the difference, but because I could see the difference, I felt so much more confident too.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And follow-up question from maybe as well, which I just love this question because we get
Mhm.
something like it in a lot of these events where we're just like, oh, you can do this, you can do this. And so Mimi is saying, I love to cook, but I do not have an eye for photography and am not creative. I'm an accountant. Can these skills actually be learned? And I think I know the answer, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
So I think that they can be learned.
Yeah.
Like especially I feel like with how we have things, with how
Yeah.
we have things laid out and we make it extremely approachable. We have lots of great examples, like just to follow as you're going through our the grad, what's it called? Directory, the grad directory. Like I'm like, she's like, I have no idea, Melody. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Like you've got lots of students, but our coaches are there. Like our coaches are there to kind of help walk through and show you exactly what to do and what you should be working on next. So I think that they provide a great amount of support. So yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think, Stephanie?
Yeah. I would say you don't need to be a pro photographer now, but you need to be willing to learn. So look
Yep.
into your heart and say, am I willing to do this? Right? Like it
Yep.
might be hard the first month, like learning camera settings and that stuff. You have coaches who will
Hmm.
help you, but are you willing to put
Yeah.
in on your side? Like,
I think that's phenomenal.
yeah,
I think that's a great question. If
Yeah,
you're willing
yeah,
to, if you're willing to learn, we are willing to teach
right,
yeah,
and work with
right.
you.
yeah. And
Love
there's
it.
no timetable, right? Like this is
Right.
your
Yep.
own pace. Like if it takes you 2 extra months, it
Yep.
it just does. Nobody's there like, why aren't you out selling? It's
Yeah.
just yeah, it's your own timetable.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you both so much. We do
Thank
have to
you.
wrap up just for
Yeah.
time's sake. But it's been such a blast. I love learning about all these
Mhm.
little angles and like you said, the nuances of all the different ways you can piece this same skill set
Yeah.
into like all these different angles. I love anything that's we get told so often that you do this and then that's how you make money doing this and there's only one way to do it. And kind of like you were saying, like, I wish someone had told me this before I went and got student debt. Like,
Yeah.
I have a camera, I have a
Yeah.
DSLR. Yeah, but
Yeah.
appreciate it so much. Was there anything else you both wanted to say before we wrap
Yeah.
up for the day?
No, I mean, we would love to see
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah,
join
yeah,
us on the
Yeah.
inside, but they can go to to the sales page in the link. And
yeah.
also if they're on the replay and they have questions, we can check it out and answer them
Yeah.
too. So
Absolutely.
don't be
Absolutely.
shy.
And the prettyfocus.com is where they can find you if
Yes.
they have any
Yeah.
questions and all of that. Cool.
Yeah.
And
And we have some free training there too if people are interested. So
awesome. Well,
yeah.
appreciate it so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone, for watching. And if you've been to more than just this event for DiscoverVest, this is the last event of the last day of Discover Fest, and we're closing it out. And it's been such a blast and pleasure to end it all with you. Thank you, everyone, for
Yay.
watching. And thank you, Stephanie and Melody. It's been
Thank
such a
you.
delight. And we'll see you all soon.
Okay. Bye.
Thank
Bye.